morning students. Today I am going to continue the chapter Society of Rural Area. Now today I am going to explain you about the permanent settlement. The permanent settlement or the Zamindari Bandobast was introduced by Cornwallis in Bengal in 1793. According to it, the zamindars were made the owners of the whole land in their zamindaris as long as they paid their dues to the estate and work agents of government in collecting the land revenue. A zamindar was required to pay about 89% of what he received as the land to the government and retain 11% with himself for his service. The land revenue was fixed for 10 years on a permanent basis. The zamindars were given hereditary rights of zamindari. The permanent settlement system had far-reaching impact on the economy. It created a new class of landlords in the form of zamindars. They became the political alliance of the British. It also provided financial security to the zamindars. Many of the wastelands and forests became cultivable. The permanent settlement was the largest sum that could be got from the land and was a heavy and oppressive assessment. Tax began to be collected by oppressive methods. The position of the actual cultivators of the soil wasn't as they could be evicted by the zamindars on non-payment of dues. In the long run, this settlement benefited the landlords more than the government. By increasing the area under cultivation, the land revenue collected by the peasants went up, while the amount that they had to pay to the estate remained fixed. The term zamindar was used both in Mughal period as well as under British. Its meaning and nature underwent a change. The zamindars under the Mughals were generally the intermediaries in the process of revenue collection. They were also allotted jagirs at time when they were in no way owner of the land. Under the permanent settlement, their position became better than the jagirdars of the Mughal period. The jagirdars under the Mughals did not own the jagir and could not sell it. They also could not evict the cultivators from the land and could even lose their jagirs. But for the zamindars under British rule, their control over the land became hereditary. They came to enjoy the right to evict the tenants and to confiscate their property on non-payment of revenue. The nature of the rights of zamindars underwent a drastic change under the British. So, in permanent settlement, in 1793, Lord Cornwallis introduced permanent settlement. It has some important features, that is the Rajas and Talukdars were accepted as zamindars. Zamindars were asked to collect rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the company. The amount of the revenue to be paid was fixed permanently, which was not to be increased ever in future. This would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the funds of the company without the trouble of collecting it from each peasant. Zamindars could keep the extra amount if they were able to collect more revenue from the land. At the same time, if he could not pay the fixed amount, he could lose his zamindari right. This encouraged the zamindars to invest on lands to increase the productivity. Zamindar would benefit directly from increased production from the lands because the revenue demand of the estate would not be increased. Now, in permanent settlement, what type of problems they face? The fixed revenue was so high that the zamindars found it difficult to pay. Due to this reason, numerous zamindaris were sold off at auction organized by the government. Company officials discovered that the zamindars were not investing in the improvement of land. Because of lack of interest in improving the land, some zamindars had lost their lands in the earlier years of the settlement. Some others now saw the possibility of earning without any trouble and risk of investment. The prices in the market rose and cultivation slowly expanded by the first decade of the 19th century. This increased the income of the zamindars, but no gain for the company because revenue had been fixed permanently. Under this scheme, farmers suffered terribly. The rent he had to pay was very high, and also his right on the land was insecure. They had to take a loan from the moneylender to pay the rent. If they failed to pay the rent, he was evicted from the land. Now next, Mahalwari settlement. Many of the company officials agreed that the system of revenue had to be changed again by the early 19th century. An Englishman named Holt Mackenzie introduced the new system called Mahalwari settlement in the northwestern provinces of the Bengal Presidency. This came into effect in 1822. In this settlement, land revenue is collected from a village estate or a mahal. This mahal was a revenue estate or a group of village. Each mahal had a headman to collect the revenue and paid it to the company. The revenue demand was revised periodically, not permanently fixed. So, in Mahalwari, the Mahalwari system, a brainchild of Holt Mackenzie, was a modernized version of the Zamindari settlement introduced in the Ganga Valley, the northwest provinces, part of central India and Punjab. In this system, a settlement was made with a group of villages collectively called Mahal. The land in these villages belonged to the village community, which was jointly responsible for the payment of land revenue. The forest and pastures also belonged to the village community. In the Mahalwari settlement, village-wise assessment of the land revenue was carried out. The Mahalwari settlement had significant impact on the Indian peasantry. Firstly, due to high land revenue demand from the government, large areas of land began to pass into the hands of moneylenders and the merchants, who ousted the old cultivating properties or reduced them to tenants. Second, there was impoverishment and widespread disposition of land among the cultivating communities of North India in the 1830s and 1840s, which got expressed in the popular uprising in 1857. Now you have to write question and answer in your fair copy. Name any 4 cash crops. Why there was a great demand for indigo in Europe.